Let's talk about old age. I know it's not exactly the most lively topic, but stick with me here. I promise it'll be worth it. Now, you might think he did this because he had energy. You're wrong. It was the opposite. Each morning he rose from his thin mattress, joints aching, heart heavy. His small apartment, dim and cluttered, was silent. Too silent. He made tea he rarely drank, buttoned his faded shirt with trembling fingers, and left for the streets before the sun crept over the rooftops. 8-year-old Jae-min worked day and night. Maybe a small kindness, a warm meal, or a quiet voice was enough. And so the next morning, Jae-min swept the streets as always, but this time he hummed, softly, brokenly, like someone remembering the sound of life. Let's talk about how to find joy in the twilight years, how to live a life that is full of meaning and love, even when the body grows weak and the world moves on without you. Because as Jaemin showed us, it's not about how much time we have left. It's about how we use the time we do have, every single moment of it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why doesn't he stay in bed if he's so tired? Well, he did try that. But sometimes, just sometimes, the sun peeks through the clouds and you remember what it's like to be light. A warm meal, a kind word, a helping hand, even a small smile can chase away the darkness. It's not about the length of our days or the number of years we live. It's about finding joy in the small moments, about keeping our hearts open to the warmth of human connection, even when the world seems cold and unfeeling. Lying down only made him feel more tired. The work was slow, the pace smaller than small. But he kept moving. He had to. Resting only made him feel more tired. No note, just warm rice and kimchi in a paper container. Jaemin stared at it for a long while. Then, slowly, he smiled. The food wasn't an inconvenience. It smelled good. It looked good. And it made him think of his granddaughter. She often brought him food when she visited, but she never came anymore. This meal, though, whoever brought it, it was an offering of kindness. It's a small, unexpected kindness in a day filled with the quiet hum of busy lives. Sometimes he turned on the radio, not for music, but for the sound of another voice. And he had learned long ago that some tiredness, the kind that comes from grief or loneliness or regret, well, that doesn't go away, not even with sleep. So he worked, not with strength, but with fear. Fear of stopping, of silence, of the deep weariness that came when he had nothing to do. When he sat, when he stopped, the exhaustion wasn't just in his body, it crept into his thoughts. Pulling memories he'd rather leave buried. Memories of his wife's laughter, now quiet for decades. Of his son's last phone call, promises to visit that were never kept. Promises he'd made to himself, too, promises of a life that could have been, should have been. So he worked. He swept alleys, folded cardboard for recycling, ran errands for nearby shopkeepers. At night, he returned to his room. He'd sit in the corner watching the shadows stretch across the walls. One evening, a neighborhood boy left a small meal at his doorstep. He didn't know if the energy would ever return. Probably not. But maybe he didn't need energy to feel alive. Old age isn't easy. Some days it feels like a heavy, dark cloud hanging over your head, making even the smallest tasks feel like climbing a mountain. So let's talk about old age. Let's talk about the challenges, the fears, the regrets, the hopes, the dreams.